Okay, so I'm going to give you an update on the toolbox situation here at the shop. At the pigsty is more like it. But I ended up getting some deals on some toolboxes, and last week I showed, probably about a week ago, I showed you guys a Kennedy top box that I had picked up and a Waterloo riser. And then I talked about how I had seen a top box and riser for sale at a used tool store. And I went back and grabbed that riser. I ended up getting that for, I got that for 50 bucks, and it's in excellent shape. It has the original, 2 keys. I think 2 keys. Anyways, I actually contemplated getting the toolbox too, but I said, well, I just bought a top box, so I'm not going to do that. Well, it didn't take long. I got home, put the box that I bought on top of the riser that I bought, realized the riser is in such better shape. I realized I really wanted that other box. Then I realized that all of the boxes that I've seen, for the most part for sale here and there, have been the 7 or 8 draw variety. I think they're 520s or 526s, the model numbers on. And I noticed something about that one when I was there, that when you pulled out the this tray cover here, that when you put it in the stow position it stuck out more. And it was because it was a taller box. It was an 11 draw, and the 11 draw boxes are not as common, and they're sweet. And so here was a mint condition 11 draw box that I could have had for 110 bucks, which is a little more than I wanted to pay, but the point being is that that was a good deal on that box. I just saw one sell on eBay, and there were multiple bidders on it, and it went for somewhere around $170 plus shipping. So I missed the boat on that, because I went back a week later to get the box, and it was gone. So while I was there, actually that same day before I went there, the night before that day, I should say, I was going through the Craigslist like I usually do, checking the area, and I saw a listing for a Kennedy top and bottom box for 100 bucks. No picture. And there's a good reason why there was no picture. I'll get to that in a minute. Well, I think maybe you guys already got a glimpse of that. But anyways, so I emailed the guy that evening. The next morning I woke up, I didn't get a reply email. So at about 7:30 a.m. I called, figuring, hey, if it's a cell phone I can leave a voicemail. I took the chance. I don't like disturbing anybody that early in the morning, but it was a weekday. So lo and behold, he answered the phone right away. Told him I was calling on the box. Told him I'd like to come down and take a look at it. When was he available? And he says, oh, I'm home all day today. And I was like, oh, that's good. So I decided before I started work, I'd scoot down there early, take a look at those, see if they were what I thought they were, and grab them, and then head out and do my work. And then later in the day, I'd stop and see the tool store and try and pick up that 11 draw. Unless, of course, what I bought was, really good. But he had already listed that it was a 7 or 8 draw. He listed how many draws there were, but he had no photos. So, of course, 100 bucks for a bottom roller cabinet and a top box, no intermediate box, but still 100 bucks, unless the thing was a pit, it was a steal. So I took a ride out to the hills of Connecticut to get those, and ended up acquiring those, and we'll go through that in a minute. And then I went later after work in the afternoon. I went to the used tool store to get the 11 draw, and of course it was sold. So I was poking around, and underneath this table of junk that he has there, tucked underneath there, was this little Kennedy right here, and he had 20 bucks on it. And so I said, well, you take 15 on this? And he said $17.50. So for $17.50 I got this Kennedy. And the reason why it was marked down 20 is, A, it's filthy. B, somewhere, I haven't figured out where yet, somewhere there's a bend, because when you close this box, it doesn't want to open. Let me get some pry with it. So something's out of kilter on this thing. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's filthy inside. There's actually even some stuff in here. This is some stuff I got off of his bargain table. Last time I was at his bargain table, he had items two for a quarter. The table's up to a quarter a piece. Changes that all the time depending on what kind of stuff he dumps in that table. So there was this issue with the lid, and then there's this front. I had a really hard time closing this, so something was a little bent on this, and lo and behold, now I can't get this up open. And it looks to me like right here on this corner, this is a little bent, like somebody's already been prying on this to get this open. So let's see what we can do to give this a little bit of attention. Lots of times these are missing completely. The fact that this one is present and not all bent up and just a little bent, that's not bad. All of the handles are on the drawers. The inside, they have the felt, but they're filthy. They'll have to be backed out. There's even some junk in here, which I said to him, and he said, "Oh, the contents goes with it." Drill bits. Bunch of Allen keys. Nice little, oh, it was a nice little punch. Somebody ground the end to a point. Hacksaw blades. Whole bunch of utility knife blades, brand new. And a couple of replacement screwdriver bits for cordless screwdriver, and there's a Torx one. So that was a steal at $17.50. We'll clean that up, try and do some adjustments to it and see. And actually, I can already feel, I think it might be just this keeper right here that's bent. Not quite sure what's. Well, that's interesting. That opens perfectly fine when this front is not in position. So it must have something to do with these locking pins and that front being bent up. Alright. Let's get that out of here. So now let me pan down and show you why this Kennedy box did not have a photograph and why it was listed for only $100. I think he might have even had the best offer on that. Okay, this box and rollaway card. This is a textbook seminar in how not to treat your Kennedy toolboxes. Alright, so when I got there, it was in his basement. First thing I noticed was there's overspray all over it, multicolored. Here's some overspray here, some spatter, paint spatter. Here's some, I don't know, that looks like somebody painted over something. There's more overspray here, here. This spray right here and here, these actually look like maybe he was using the tray to actually paint something. You know, had something on the tray and was painting it. A lot of green paint right here. And well, we got the Matco tool sticker. My tools are protected, so don't ask to borrow them. Yeah, it's interesting, but it's coming off. If you value your life, don't mess with my tools. So another sticker that's coming off. I checked all of the drawers and they seem to function pretty well. There are no felt in these lower drawers. This top drawer, it seems to slide perfectly fine, but it is out of kilter. There's more of a space between these two drawers here than there is on this end, so something's going on with that slider. I don't know if that's adjustable or not. These corners right here that actually, you know, were nice and straight corners, they're pounded to heck for some reason. I don't know why. This, I'm not quite sure what the purpose of this is. Oh, well, now it becomes obvious to me. For security purposes, they didn't want to rely on this. So they put these in. These must be aftermarket. I've never seen a Kennedy with these. Put a bar through here and padlock the bar in place, and that'll keep anybody from getting these drawers open with crowbar or whatever. As opposed to with the key lock here, if somebody really wanted to get into these, they could really do a number. The other thing too is I'm not even sure, this might only block the top drawer now that I look at it. Yeah, it looks like that only blocks the top drawer. So all these other drawers were unsecured. A lot of rust in here. Well, now that's interesting. Is that by design? Yes. The bottom of this is kind of rusty. I guess you have to have this drawer open this. Alright, the casters are dirty, but they're in good condition. It rolls really well. But the other negatives, besides the paint being shot because of the overspray and scratches and rust and everything, is the drawer slides. When I looked at it really quickly, I didn't notice it. And if I had noticed it, I would have beat them up on the price even more. I overpaid, I think, for this bottom box and this top box because of the condition. I ended up, well, he had a couple of little just loose tools that he had forgotten to take out of here. And one of them was a dead center. Let me grab that. So I was looking through the drawers, just checking to make sure the sliders on the upper cabinet here worked okay, and I came across this little dead center for a lathe. So I was like, oh, and he didn't know what this was. So it turns out whoever he got this from had left apparently this dead center in there, and it was still in there when he was selling it. And you know, I asked him if there were any other machinist tools, and he said no. And then he motioned to a workbench on the side where he had taken all the tools and just dumped them on the tabletop. So I quickly looked through it because I was curious if there was anything else, and there were a few sockets and things, and I said, you know, what about these sockets? Do you need these sockets? Because I'm thinking I could always use spare sockets here and there, some screwdrivers and junk like that. And he says, yeah, he says, whatever you want to take. So he basically was telling me any of those tools that he took out of the toolbox, as far as he was concerned, could go with the toolbox. So I said to him, I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, because the box is nowhere near the condition I would hope it was going to be in. I'll give you, for the top and bottom box and these tools, which I'll show you that in a second, I'll give you 80 bucks. So when I got this home, got it down here in the basement, the more I looked at it, the more I felt I actually still overpaid for this. And all the tools that I got were pretty much junk tools, no name cheapies, but I got a whole bucket full of them to look through. No machinist tools, just regular everyday tools, mechanics tools, but there are a couple of little things here. I did get this. There were several old wrenches that probably were originally in this box. This is an old Williams. You know, that's kind of a neat old wrench. But then just a lot of these, you know, no name, cheapy, off-brand. Hey, here's a scrunch for a steel chainsaw. You know, these are like $7 if you're gonna replace one. Lots of just no-name sockets. There might even be some Craftsman's in there. I'm gonna have to go through this stuff. That's a nice little, even though it's an off-brand. No, it might be a Stanley. I don't know. I'm sure the name originally was on here. This looks like one of these cheapies they sell at the counter at your auto parts store. But it's a stub-handled ratchet. It's got 3/8 drive on one side, and it's got 1/4" drive on the other side. And I'll tell you what else. It only goes in one direction. Alright, so Yeah, you can use this to loosen, but don't plan on using it to tighten. You know, it's funny. There's a couple of Phillips head screws. There's a couple of screws there. No, they're torque screws, so you can take this apart to fix it. But so we'll take a look at through this box some other time. Oh, and so then I'm asking if he's got something I could put all these tools in, because I don't want him slamming around in the box. I'm going to lay the box down on the truck. He comes over and he gives me a Home Depot, what do they call this? A Homer's all-purpose bucket. So that was actually, the handle's cracked, but that's actually a nice little score, because Home Depot charges like $4 or $5 for these stupid buckets. So, and then they charge you extra for the snap-on lid if you want to turn it into a storage unit. So when I initially looked at it, I first thought that these actually were original pulls. I don't know how I missed it, but the holes are here, here, and here. This is an original pull. So this style pull should have been on these three. Somewhere along the line, somebody broke 3 of these handles. They actually broke 4. They broke these 3 handles off, re-drilled, and put these old kitchen cabinet style pulls on. Then they must have broke this one off, and for some reason, in their infinite wisdom, what they did was they drilled right through the handle and put these screws in through with nuts to hold this handle on. So these handles must come with a stud, a threaded stud on the back normally that goes through the holes, and then you just put nuts on them. And what must have happened is they must have been broken off and sheared those studs off. So this is the fix he came up with for that one. And unfortunately, all the other broken handles are long gone, because if it was a fact that a stud broke off, I could probably drill and tap the backs of these and put little studs in them and put the handles back on. So what I think I'm going to do with this eventually, because it kind of bothers me that this is such a train wreck looking box, is I think I might take all of these handles off, these stickers off, give it a quick paint job, and find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 handles that look good on the front of the box. Make this all uniform. For the time being, I'm not going to do anything, and this might be years before I get around to doing that, but it's just, oh, there are some of these, it's like the Harbor Freight brand, the tool scrunchie there, or whatever you call it. Keep your tools from sliding around when opening and closing the drawers. Alright, so let's take a better look at this top box. Got the handles on the side. Present. Latches aren't broken. It has 2 holes in the top for some reason. Somebody drilled 2 holes in the top, I don't know why. So this is a 526. So this is the same model, I believe, as the one I've got over there. Yeah, it looks like the same exact one. And the keeper's here to keep the top open, present. The felt's in here. It's filthy, but the felt's there. This is a little chipped and loose, but it works. There's a bunch of garbage that needs to be backed out of here, I can see. Well, there's a little bit. Anyways, this is in pretty good shape, other than oversprayed and scratched. Look at all the overspray on the drawer fronts right there. You can see it's open about that much. Yeah, this was open when it was spraying. This draw's got a divider in it. I don't think that one does. Hot glue gun sticks. That might be a chuck wrench for a small chuck. That's an unusual wrench. Industro. Thought that was a small chisel at first, realized that's a screwdriver blade. Shirt clip level. So that's basically all there is to that. Well, so we'll be able to start doing some things with some storage of a lot of these smaller bits and cutters and tools and things like that, which is good, because right now I got most of it piled in the Wells Index cabinet. It's in those wooden slide-out drawers that I've got in there, which actually are nice, but they're hard to get out of that cabinet. So I think I'm going to transfer some of that stuff into here.